You are listening to The Batman. Death Strikes at Midnight and 3. An audio drama adapted from DC Special Series number 15, originally written by Dennis O'Neil, with art by Marshall Rogers. Adapted for audio by Ben Wan.
Sunday, February 4th. At 8 o'clock last night, the special prosecutor died. His name was Bernie Sorrell. He was a friend of my father's. His last case was the prosecution of a small-time drug pin named Milo Lewis. To get updates on the case, I made a rare public appearance as Bruce Wayne. Last night I met Bernie out at a charity event at the Gotham Towers Hotel. He was in good spirits. Later I walked him out to West 48th Street, where in the cold, he started hurrying toward his limousine on the curb.
Well, I think we finally have Milo Lewis on the ropes.
I hope so, Bernie. At least I'll take your word for it. Crime is a little out of my line.
To put it mildly.
Buy you dinner?
Sorry, I've got an important meeting tonight and a bit of homework.
That's when he stopped, wheezing. His left shoulder sagged. His knees buckled as he collapsed awkwardly, as though all his joints had been severed at once. His head bounced on the sidewalk before I could catch him. I called over to his chauffeur. Hey, get a doctor! Take it easy, Bernie. Help is on the way. His chest heaved, and his eyes darted rapidly as though he were desperately searching for something that was impossible to see.
Meet blind man, midnight and 3. Safe till then.
Where, Bernie? Where are you gonna meet him? But his eyes stopped darting. He was gone. I made a promise. I'll get them for you, Bernie. I would find whoever did this. I would make them pay. I told his chauffeur that I had to get inside, that I was too upset to wait in the cold. But that was a lie. A minute later, I was in the alley behind the hotel, where I'd hid my real suit. Bruce Wayne was no longer needed tonight. Tonight, the late Bernie Sorrell needed vengeance. I moved to a service entrance, picking the lock to go inside, finding an area full of kitchen equipment. In a corner, a cook sat sipping from a bottle of cooking sherry. He nearly jumped when he saw me and dropped the bottle.
Look, maybe I cheated a little on the income tax, but with 3 ex-wives, I got expenses you can't believe.
There was someone new working in the main ballroom today. A cook, a waiter, maybe a busboy.
Yeah, That's right, a waiter. Beefy guy, built real surly.
Where is he now?
The waiters are going off shift. I guess he'd be in the locker room.
You'll pay the tax money you owe.
Yeah, I was gonna do it anyhow tomorrow morning, you bet.
Moments later, I found the locker room. Sure enough, I found the waiter there, exactly how the cook described him. I emerged from the shadows and let him see me. We should talk. He bolted for a flight of stairs at the end of the corridor. Instead of chasing him, I went to the window, raised it, and climbed onto the fire escape. Within seconds, I was standing on the roof, 40 stories above the avenue. The false waiter emerged on the roof, panting. Ready to talk now? Tonight you served Bernard Sorrell a snack loaded with poison. If I were to guess, it was tobacco and chloride in a neutralizing solution to delay the reaction. The false waiter wasn't talking. Instead, he pulled out a blackjack to try to threaten me. He didn't get a chance to use it. Milo Lewis hired you to murder Bernie Sorrell. The question is, why?
The blind man was gonna snitch to Sorrell.
When?
Sometime late tonight.
Where?
I don't know. Lewis only paid me to hit Sorrell. The rest of the stuff I got from keeping my ears open. That's all I know. Come on, you let me go?
I thumbed a nerve in his neck to render him unconscious. I then alerted Lieutenant Gordon on where he could find Sorrell's assassin. I couldn't stay for the handoff. I had to make a call.
Wayne Residence.
I need you to look up something for me on the computer.
And to think I was just about to take off.
The movie festival tonight?
Buster Keaton. Not like you'd know the classics, with all your extracurricular activities.
A man's life is at stake, Alfred. Are you gonna help me or not?
I suppose I could wait till next year.
Alfred had become less supportive of my mission since I had started, and it was grating on me. But we hadn't installed the computer into the car yet, so tonight I needed him. I waited until he read the information I wanted.
The blind man's real name is Anthony Toombs. Born Rockford, Illinois.
Skip the background. Get to his association with Lewis.
Entered the employ of Milo Lewis as accountant. No overt criminal activity noted. Struck by a .25 caliber bullet on Christmas Eve, shortly after starting employment. Extensive damage to optical nerve resulted in total blindness.
Anything on who shot him?
Nothing.
Outstanding personal characteristics? Talents?
Subject has total recall.
He probably has enough stored in his head to blow Milo Lewis's operation apart. But Lewis isn't the type to take chances. He won't be content with just eliminating Bernie Sorrell. He'll have guns looking for the blind man. I've got to reach him first.
The question you have to answer then is, where would a blind man hide?
Maybe his boss knows. Milo Lewis was a lower-level mobster, compared to Salvatore Moroni or Carmine Falcone, yet he still lived high above everyone else at the Arch Building. When I arrived at his penthouse, he was playing pool with his bodyguard, Benny.
Whoa, boss. We got company.
The Batman. You circumvented our alarms.
Alarms? Those were toys. You should invest in some decent equipment and pay for it with all the income from the filth you put into the veins of the helpless.
I prefer to think of my product as a respite from woe. Can I offer you a refreshment? I have an excellent brandy sent to me by a dear friend in the Cognac region of France.
No thanks. There might be something other than brandy in it. Tuberculin chloride, for instance.
Poison you in my own home? That would be tacky.
Cut the rapport, Milo. We're boring your bodyguard. He's itching to grab that 9mm Browning under his jacket.
So that had to be a guess.
Close observation, plus knowledge of the insect population.
I do believe you've insulted my dear Benjamin.
In a second, the bodyguard's gun was out. He was fast. I was faster. You're finished, Milo. That punk you hired will talk, and you'll stand trial for murder. Help me save the blind man, and maybe the jury will take it into consideration.
You underestimate me. When the police search the man who slew the late lamented special prosecutor, they'll find a document sewn in the lining of his coat. A letter commissioning him to perform the vile deed. A letter signed by Carmine Falcone. Of course, neither Falcone nor the assassin have any knowledge of it. But we can't expect the officers to doubt such overwhelming evidence, can we?
You expected the punk to get caught.
Rather, I anticipated every eventuality and took the precautions indicated. Can you say the same? Tomorrow, Anthony Toombs will be a meat on a slab and you will suffer the knowledge of your failure.
Where is he?
I honestly don't know. Somewhere in Gotham City, I imagine. Now it is 11. You have 1 hour to find him.
Drink your wine, Milo. Savor it. Then call your friends. Tell them your next address will be Blackgate Penitentiary. Because I'll find the blind man. And I'll watch you whimper. And beg. And crawl. Gotham City. It's a monster sprawled along 25 miles of eastern seaboard, stirring, seething, ever restless. 8 million human beings live on streets that, if laid end to end, would stretch all the way to Tokyo, crammed into thousands of neighborhoods. From the East End, where rats nestle in babies' bedclothes and grandmothers forage in garbage cans, to the penthouse of Manor Row, where the cost of a single meal would support an immigrant family for a year. Its countless chambers and crannies and corners, the shelters of living and dead, millionaires and bums, friends and saints. Armies could search for a lifetime and leave places unseen. If he hadn't had energy, one man could visit the likely ones in a month. I had less than 60 minutes. I figured Milo's gunmen had located the blind man by now, probably by accident. 2 ruthless mercenaries, hungry for Saturday night pleasure, would seek the smoky haunts at the city center, and a blind man would not be able to stray far from the city's ugly heart. Not if he planned to meet someone at a prearranged time. He would fear everyone and everything. Insist the meeting be away from the spies who had infiltrated the palaces of the law. Insist on neutral territory. He would go where his enemies would not expect him to be. He would cower in darkness, hoping to use it to his advantage. A darkness that would vanish at midnight and 3. Of course, the answer was obvious. I silently thanked Alfred for mentioning a silent movie. The blind man picked the one place no one would think to find him. the movie theater. As Alfred mentioned, they were showing Buster Keaton films that night. At 12:03, the lights came on and everyone cleared out. Everyone, except the blind man, along with 2 hired guns sitting in a few rows behind him. By now, the blind man knew Bernie Sorrell had not survived to make this meeting. Instead, he heard the footsteps of 2 assassins.
Show's over, blind man. What you're gonna do now is go where we lead you. Real quiet, real peaceful.
Guys, I got savings. I can pay.
Oh, swell. You can buy yourself a nice funeral.
Anthony Toombs would tell the police that he thought it was an hallucination, an illusion formed by his immense fear, and a startling, unexpected hope of salvation. Illusion or not, he was almost convinced that at midnight and 3, his personal darkness had been briefly lifted, and he saw me. The gunmen stared as I emerged in front of the theater screen. Making myself a target, they opened fire. They missed, so I taunted them. Sloppy shooting.
We got him!
And I thought I was blind.
What are you talking about?
It's over. You're safe, Toombs.
You're not the police.
No, but I know someone on the force you can trust. Lieutenant Gordon. He's on the way.
Thank you.
You worked for Milo Lewis for over a decade, but you're turning on him now. He was the one who blinded you, wasn't he?
It was Christmas Eve, years ago. Milo was tipsy and started playing with a new gift, a vintage gun. He forgot it was loaded when he pulled the trigger. I was only sleeping in the next room. I never got to open my eyes again. I didn't know it was him till this week when I overheard him laughing about it with his bodyguard. I almost didn't do anything about it. I was scared. But then I thought over the agonies, the humiliations I suffered over the last 10 years. So I called the prosecutor. Milo Lewis took away my sight. I'll take away his freedom, if he ever ends up in court.
Leave that to me. In the morning, Milo Lewis arrived at his private hangar, about to take a plane and out of the country. He knew his organization was finished. The blind man had given the police every detail, and Lieutenant Gordon was already descending on his drug labs, supply points, and his home. Milo was heading to a country with no extradition treaty, looking to live comfortably on funds from his secret Swiss bank accounts. At least, that was his plan.
No!
Milo Lewis might have considered bolting to the plane or drawing his automatic, but he did neither. Instead, he struggled to control an urge to whimper and beg and crawl.